Everybody for being here. This has been an unbelievable 4-week period from the moment that this fight was made and Jake transitioned from preparing for a 135-pound opponent to a giant of a man in Anthony Joshua. I could not be happier with the fact that Jake is safe, and more so that he showed his heart. I don't know if you guys were looking on Twitter, but until about 20 minutes ago, the #1 trending thing on Twitter wasn't Jake Paul getting knocked out, wasn't Jake Paul, wasn't Anthony Joshua. It literally was the phrase, respect for Jake Paul. And I can tell you guys, I have so much respect for that young man. Alycia Baumgardner, 12 threes. The knockdown that was almost a knockout came near the end of the 3rd minute. And that speaks to our focus of allowing these athletes to have the opportunity to choose to compete on the same playing field as the men. Alycia, do you want to say a few words before we open it up?
Yes, first off, thank you everybody just for tuning in. This has been an amazing moment just to be a part of. MVP has done an amazing job with us women, with the team as a unit. And I think it's so important to keep highlighting the things that they are doing and having game changers like myself be on the front of everything just to showcase what women have already known to do. And that's to be a winner, that's to be a warrior, that's to stand tall, and that's to stand on business and to say, hey, we can do 12 rounds, 3 minutes.
Questions?
Andreas Hale, ESPN. Alicia, congratulations. When we talked earlier this week, you said you've been searching for that knockout, and I know you wanted it, but you showed some new wrinkles in the game. You worked to the body well, the footwork has improved. Talk about what you've gotten under Derrick James and how much you've been able to showcase that tonight.
Yes, as mentioned before, I was able to spend more time with Derrick, and we were able to work on a lot of things. You know, when it comes to doing 3 minutes, it's strategic. You have to set things up. It's not a 2-minute just fight. You know, I wanted to showcase the skills that I have, and you saw that with the jab. You saw that me going to the body, you know, feints, you know, using the ring, utilizing the ring. And I'm so proud of myself because I was able to be in there and do what I love to do, and that's the fight, that's the box, that's the punch, that's the move. And Derrick and I are continuing to work on this dynamic to really showcase what more there is.
Now, we all know about the right hand, and all of your opponents, they scout that right hand very well, but it finally broke through. How bad did you think you had her hurt? Did you think you were close to a finish?
Yeah, no, Layla was hurt pretty bad. You know, I could tell I was reading her energy throughout those rounds. And again, my corner was just saying, be patient. You know, that 2-minute mentality was kicking in. I'm like, no, chill out. You know, you still got another minute. But I knew she was hurt. And again, I was taking my time and making it look good.
Hello, this is Alycia Baumgardner with the Split Decision Boxing. Alycia, you know, first 12 threes, and, you know, in this fight, it looked like you were implementing Derrick James's game plan to a T. You know, you were jabbing a lot, you were landing a lot around her guard. You know, was that something you were focusing on going into the fight?
Yeah, absolutely. It was important that when we stepped up to this challenge to do 3 minutes, that the world was going to see a dynamic fighter, a complete fighter. I think it's important that people know that women like myself can fight, can box, can actually utilize the ring. When we think about boxing, we think about the sweet science and having it look good and setting up punches up and, you know, setting up that knockout. So yeah, I listened to my corner and we looked dominant in there for sure.
Absolutely. And, you know, this fight you dedicated to your father, and you said you were going to tear up, you know, after the fight. Did you get that, you know, chance to let the emotions out and, you know, feel everything?
Man, they're still bottled up, and I'm still like releasing them little by little, but, you know, just to make it through, you know, the transition and to make it for another month in camp and to be in this moment, I'm just happy to be here. And sometimes you just have to continue to see it through, and I know my dad's very proud of me, and we have a lot to celebrate.
And my last question is for Nakisa. Nakisa, you know, 2025 was a big year for Most Valuable Promotions. You know, you signed a lot of major world-class talent. You know, you had monthly events, 2 Netflix cards, you know, the first ever fight night back in August. When you think about the growth of the promotion this year, what do you reflect on it?
I think it just speaks to the ability to disrupt the sport led by Jake Paul at the forefront. for a company that started in August of 2021, so a little bit less than 4 years ago. And I'm excited about what our prospects are going into 2026 in terms of boxing, in terms of women's boxing, in terms of going international, and in terms of getting into different business lines as well. We've shown we can put on the biggest events in the world with the biggest distributor in the world. And having their support and their confidence and their belief in what Jake and I do and the rest of the team is invaluable.
Thank you, guys. Danny Segura for MMA Junkie. For Nakisa, we talked pre-fight, and you mentioned how initially you were a big concern for Jake, and those concerns kind of went away over time. But can you, now that the fight's over, how concerned were you when Jake stepped in the ring with AJ, and is there a sense of relief now that in the grand scheme of things, obviously he's a bit injured, but all in all, he's all right?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Every time I spoke about this is a dangerous fight or put out a tweet that says no matter what happens, he's already won, it turned into you don't even believe in your man. But at the flip side was the event is rigged, Jake's gonna win or he's not gonna knock him out. Maybe the powers that be in boxing paid Jake Paul to lose tonight. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe it was a flip rigged, right? Jake was gonna kick AJ's ass. But the reality is, my hope was that nobody would get hurt from the first fight of the night to the last fight of the night. And ultimately, that's what happened. And ultimately, Jake Paul lasted a lot longer than anyone said he was going to. And I haven't seen the official scorecards. I don't know if anyone else has. But I think he might have won a round or two or even three. He was doing tremendously well in there against a person who is vastly more skilled, vastly larger, vastly more powerful. And he did it on 4 weeks preparation.
What would you like to see next for Jake?
I'd like him to take a beat, relax, and then think about when he's gonna fight next. You know, we talked about June, July timeframe. He loves the sport. He loves MVP. He loves the athletes. He loves giving them platform and push. This young lady right here, the whole time when I was talking to her, I said, what do you think? She goes, Jake's gonna win. I believe in him. He can do whatever he wants to do. That's the kind of family that we're building at MVP. It's a fighter-first organization. You guys saw our weigh-in yesterday. That stuff costs a lot of money, but we want to put on the best brand for these fighters to show the world what boxing is about.
And just one last question, Alycia. You made history, three-minute round. Have you thought about that just for a second? Obviously, the win is great and all that, but have you thought about the history that you made for women's boxing?
You know, I'm still soaking in this win, and like I said, when Nakisa mentioned, hey, 3 minutes, 12 rounds, what do you think? I said, let's do it. And to be able to say that I did it, I made history. I'm the best woman fighter there is in the game right now. My skills are a 10 out of 10, and I'm only getting better, and that's the thing. You guys see just glimpses of who Alicia Baumgardner is, and this was just one of those moments where you saw just a little bit. So I'm looking forward to what the future looks like, and you know, still continuing to fight these 12 3-minute rounds.
And again, the knockdown came in the 3rd minute, right?
That's right.
That's the critical component of that analysis.
Nakisa, just down here, Jackford from the Sun. Just to follow up on Jake, he said he broke his jaw in the aftermath. Has he gone to hospital? What's the health update on Jake?
Yeah, we think he broke his jaw. He's fine. We met with Netflix afterwards. He took a shower. He drove himself to the hospital. A broken jaw is very common in sports, particularly in boxing or MMA, and I think the recovery time from the doctors and surgeons we've already talked to is 4 to 6 weeks.
Hi, it's Kevin Garcia, a.k.a. the Puerto Rican Kid KG. Nakisa, on Jake, when you look at his performance and you think about what Francis Ngannou was able to accomplish or how long he was able to last against Anthony Joshua, what does it say about Jake Paul?
I think a great game plan and preparation, unbelievable heart. And the reality is Jake lost because of the size difference, not because of the skill difference. AJ was hanging on that neck, pushing him down. And when you have someone that heavy constantly doing that, it does suck the energy out of you. AJ talked about sucking out or taking out the man's soul. He didn't take out his soul. He did take out his energy, and that's when he was able to get the finish.
And just a quick follow-up. Obviously, we don't want to look too far into the future. I know you said Jake wants a break. He's going through some, he's coming off a tough fight. But, I mean, like, it seems written on the wall that that would be an obvious fight to, look forward to in the future. Could you see Jake versus Francis Ngannou?
The whole situation with Francis was very confusing to me. And he's done a couple of interviews back and forth on terms of how he thought about our conversation. I think Francis is a revolutionary when it comes to fight sports. He stood up against the UFC, showed what kind of man he is, and this process was just, again, a little bit confusing for me, given who I know who he is as a human being.
Hi, Alicia. Well done for another spectacular performance. 12 3-minute rounds. First of all, how do you feel? And is that now the standard for you, fighting you? That's it. If you want to fight me, it's 12 3-minute rounds, or are you willing to go back to 2-minute rounds?
For one, I feel amazing after that performance. And yes, there is a standard, and there's high expectations that I have for myself, the expectations that MVP has for me. When you think of an athlete, when you think of someone who is a competitor, you think of Alycia Baumgardner, you think about Alycia stepping up to the plate and showcasing what she always talks about and backing it up. And so, yes, it is a standard, and I think it only gets better. Like he said, the knockout came in that last minute, so I know exactly what that feeling is, and I know exactly how I want to do things moving forward.
Nakisa, one question for you. You have such a brilliant UK stable, now adding Caroline Dubois. Are you looking to expand more into the UK market, potentially TV deals, selling out stadiums with maybe even Jake headlining them?
Yeah, look, baby steps in terms of the company in some ways, big steps in others, right? We've done the biggest events in the world with Netflix over the past 12 months. This is our third event with them. Our goal is to come to the UK sometime in Q1. We're actively working on that analysis. Bryce Holden, our COO, is leading that charge. We have an unbelievable roster of amazing fighters in the UK already. One of them has been going back and forth with Alycia, and I think to Alicia's credit, she did say it should be 3-minute rounds if and when they both want to do it. They both have to want to do it, right? We can't force that. But the UK is pound for pound the most important boxing market in the world. The US is the most lucrative market in the world. So we want to be relevant in both.
Hey, Alicia. Los with Fight Hype. First off, congratulations on your win. Dubois, on her post-fight, she said that the next biggest fight in women's boxing is herself and you. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, like I said before, she's a puppy, right? And with puppies, they need some potty training. And that's what she needs. She needs some potty training before she steps up to a big dog like myself. And like I said, the standard that I'm setting for myself is 12 rounds, 3 minutes. And I saw her performance. She looked like she got tired, and she didn't look like what she talks about. So she knows exactly what she has to do, and I know what I'm doing. So there's a difference.
Absolutely.
They did both get knockdowns, though. I will highlight that point there.
Absolutely.
That's
and
cool.
Nakisa, question for you. In your mind, what is next for Alycia?
For what?
I said, in your mindset, what is next for Alycia Baumgardner?
Headline event when she's ready. That's what's next for the bomb.
The bomb, baby.
For Alycia, just a little bit of a lighter-hearted one. What do you think the dollar value was of the ice in the ring tonight between you and Johnny Dang, and how did
Shit.
that collaboration come about?
Hi, baby. Probably like $5 million. No, but for real, it was, when we think about performance and we thinking about a brand, I'm so happy to be a game changer in the sport of boxing. Alicia Bumgardner comes with looks, she comes with hooks, she comes with a mouthpiece, and she comes with just a different aura, and I want people to recognize that boxing is more than combat. It's a state where myself is a warrior, and I can look like a beauty, and I can look like a beast, and I can embrace both. And I think this empowers women to understand that you don't have to look one way, and you can do it the way you want to. And that's why I love MVP, Jake Paul and Nakisa, because they have allowed me and given me a platform like Netflix, shout out Netflix, to be the game changer that I'm doing in the sport of boxing.
Congratulations to both of you on a great night. Question for you. It seems like every single event, the selling point to the casual viewer is, oh, I want to see Jake Paul lose. But it seems like the tide is turning where now the focal point is what you guys have done for boxing, building women's combat boxing and the entire division, bringing boxing to Netflix, fixing boxing and course correcting boxing. Do you feel the tide starting to turn? And by the way, Jake, his name anchoring has essentially introduced a new audience to great talent like the woman next to you. So do you see the tide finally turning with the casual viewer that folks are finally getting on board of what you guys are accomplishing for boxing?
You know, I hope so. I think Jake said it best at the press conference. Like, boxing should want Jake to win because he's using his platform, his money, his time to try to build it for the better. And when you look at everything that we've accomplished, none of it happens without Jake. He is the tip of the spear, and he enabled us to go out and partner with Netflix and then create an all-women's card on Netflix and then push Netflix to say we want to make sure Alycia Baumgardner is the co-main here to get those eyeballs. Oh, and by the way, we want to add 3 more other championship-level women's bouts on the card. So is the tide turning? I hope so. Do I care? No, because the results speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
And as I said, the number one trending thing on Twitter was respect to Jake Paul, and that means a lot to me.
And one more question for the champ. When it comes to performances and your sparkling resume, this fight was Michael Jackson Thriller. This was incredible. Do you feel the pressure now every single fight? Like, man, everyone's going to expect a barn burner. Everyone's going to expect a tremendous performance. Like, how do you deal with that type of pressure now that you have so many more eyeballs on you?
Yeah, no pressure at all. You know, I'm thankful for the team that I've been building for years now. And as a professional, I understand that there's ways of doing things, and I like to do them at the highest level. And, you know, you can't go any lower than the bar that I've set for myself. So I know moving forward, the bar just keeps getting higher. There's no glass ceiling. You can't put me in a box. And there's a time to be had, and we're going to have that time.
I'm going to leave you guys with this. I saw a lot of comments, particularly from the UK, about Jake Paul as a novice boxer and shouldn't be in the ring with Anthony Joshua. He took some rounds from Anthony Joshua. It took Anthony Joshua 6 rounds to put out a man who's been in the sport for 6 years and took on the challenge in 4 weeks. So put some respect on Jake Paul's name in the UK. Thank you.
The face and the face.